Hello all, let's revise chapter metals and nonmetals with multiple choice questions. In the chapter metals and nonmetals, we have to be thorough with the concepts physical properties of metals and nonmetals, chemical properties of metals and nonmetals, which include the reaction of metals with oxygen, water, acids, and with other metal salt solutions, and nonmetals with oxygen. You can pause the video and copy down this mind map, which definitely will help you during your last minute revision. So let's move on to the questions. First question: which of the following metals does not react with cold as well as with hot water? Option A sodium, B calcium, C magnesium, D iron. This question is based on the topic how metals react with water. We know that certain metals like sodium, potassium, etc. react violently with cold water, whereas calcium is less violent and magnesium reacts only with hot water, and iron will react only with steam. So, among the four options sodium, calcium, magnesium and iron is a metal which does not react with cold as well as with hot water, but it will react only with steam. So the option is option D, iron. Number 2. What happens when calcium is treated with water? Statements are: it does not react with water, it reacts violently with water, it reacts less violently with water, bubbles of hydrogen gas formed stick to the surface of calcium. In the previous question itself, we had understood that calcium reacts less violently with water. Also, we know that when calcium reacts with water, the metal is taken to the surface of water as bubbles of hydrogen gas formed stick to the surface of calcium. So the correct option for this question is option D, 3 and 4. Number 3. Which among the following statement is incorrect for magnesium metal? It burns in oxygen with dazzling white flame. It reacts with hot water to form magnesium hydroxide and evolves hydrogen gas. It reacts with cold water to form magnesium oxide and evolves hydrogen gas. It reacts with steam to form magnesium hydroxide and evolves hydrogen gas. In the first question, we had already discussed that magnesium reacts with hot water and not with cold water, forming magnesium hydroxide and hydrogen gas. As well as when magnesium burns in oxygen, it burns with a dazzling white flame. So option A and B is true, whereas C is false. Hence, option C is the correct answer. Number 4. Which of the following are not ionic compounds? Aluminum chloride, hydrogen chloride, carbon tetrachloride, sodium chloride. Ionic compounds are formed when a metal reacts with a non-metal. In this process, metals lose electron and non-metals accept electron. When metals lose electron, they become metal cations, and when non-metals accept electron, they become non-metallic anions. So among the given options, let us find out which of the compounds contain a metal and a non-metal. In aluminum chloride, aluminum is a metal, chlorine is a non-metal. Hence, aluminum chloride will be ionic compound. Hydrogen chloride, HCl, both are non-metals. So HCl is not an ionic compound. Carbon tetrachloride, again carbon and chlorine are non-metals and hence it cannot be an ionic compound. 4. Sodium chloride is formed from sodium ions and chloride ions, which is a combination of a metal and a non-metal. So the correct option is option B, 2 and 3. Next question. Which of the following option is or are the correct representation of the formula for the compound calcium chloride? This is a question again from ionic compound formation. In the formation of calcium chloride, calcium is the metal with electronic configuration 2882 and chlorine is the non-metal with configuration 287. Here is the electron dot structure of calcium and chlorine. So calcium has to release 2 electrons to satisfy the octet rule. In order to release 2 electrons, it requires 2 chlorine atoms. Hence, in the formation of calcium chloride, 1 calcium atom and 2 chlorine atoms are required. Calcium, after losing the electron, becomes calcium positive ions, and chlorine, after receiving the electrons, become chloride ions. So the correct representation of calcium chloride is option A. Moving on to the next question. A student performed an experiment by taking different metals and dipping them in salt solutions in test tubes marked 1, 2, 3 and 4 as shown in the figure below. Indicate the correct option from the given table which represents any reaction taking place in the test tube. Now this question is based on displacement reactions. So let us check the feasibility of the reaction with reactivity series. In the first test tube you have zinc sulfate and magnesium metal dropped in it. So if we check in the reactivity series, magnesium lies above zinc and hence in the first test tube reaction take place. Second test tube, iron is dropped in copper sulfate. Checking the reactivity series, we find that iron lies above copper and hence the reaction is feasible. In the third test tube, we have zinc in iron sulfate. Again, if you see the reactivity series, zinc lies above iron and hence the reaction will take place. But in the fourth test tube, copper is placed in zinc sulfate and hence copper being less reactive does not displace zinc from zinc sulfate solution. So you have S, yes and no, and hence the option is option C. Observe the reaction between metal salt and dilute HCl and select the correct combination from the table given below. This question is an application of reaction of metal salts with acid. In the second chapter, when we learnt about acid-base reaction, we learnt that when metal carbonate react with acids, metal salts, carbon dioxide and water is formed. So looking at the diagram given on the right side, a similar reaction is shown when metal carbonates react with acid, forming water, releasing a gas which is carbon dioxide and giving a metal salt. So let us check which carbonate is present in the table. So in the table you have 2 carbonates, calcium carbonate, sodium hydrogen carbonate, producing carbon dioxide gas. So the option is option B, both 2 and 3. Now why sodium carbonate doesn't come is because it does not release hydrogen gas. Next question, during reaction of which metals with cold water hydrogen gas catch fire? Sodium, calcium, magnesium, potassium. Observe the reaction of metal sodium, calcium, magnesium and potassium with water. You can find that when sodium and potassium are dropped in water, the hydrogen gas released there catches fire. So the option here is option C, both 1 and 4. Next question, which of the following reaction is feasible? MgSO4 plus Fe, ZnSO4 plus Fe, CaSO4 plus Pb, CuSO4 plus Fe. So here comes another question based on displacement reaction and reactivity series. MgSO4 plus Fe. Look at the position of magnesium and iron in the reactivity series. Iron is less reactive. This means that option A is not feasible. ZnSO4 plus Fe. Here also iron is less reactive than zinc. so the reaction will not take place. Option C, calcium sulfate plus Pb. Again, lead is lying below calcium, and hence a less reactive metal cannot displace a highly reactive metal from the solution. Copper sulfate plus Fe. We know that iron, being more reactive than copper, can displace copper from copper sulfate. So, the correct option is option D, CuSO4 plus Fe, which is feasible. Let us move on to the next question. Identify the option from the table given below that correctly represents cation and anion in the formation of magnesium chloride. Let us understand the formation of magnesium chloride. In magnesium chloride, magnesium releases 2 electrons and converts to magnesium cation. Chlorine accepts 1 electron and converts to chloride anion. So the process of transfer of electrons from magnesium to chlorine is shown below. The electron dot structure is also shown below. When magnesium loses 2 electrons, it acquires a 2 positive charge, and 2 chlorine atoms receives 1 electron each and form 2 chloride anions. So the correct option is option C. Moving on to the next question. Study the table given below. The number of protons, neutrons and electrons of 2 atoms X and Y are given. What is the formula of the compound formed when X and Y combine? In order to find the formula of the compound, let us understand the valency of X and Y. X is having 12 protons and 12 electrons. That means its electronic configuration is 2, 8, 2. The configuration of Y with 7 electrons is 2, 5. X, having 2 electrons in the outermost shell, releases those 2 electrons, and hence the valency of X is 2 and the valency of Y is 3, as it requires 3 more to complete the octet. Write down the valencies of X and Y and cross multiply to find the formula. So we get the formula X3, Y2. So the answer is option A. Now from the configuration, we can also understand that X is a metal and Y, which is accepting 3 electrons, is a non-metal. So X and Y, when they combine, they form the compound X3Y2, which is an ionic compound. I hope that this video has helped you in your final revision of the chapter Metals and Nonmetals. Thank you for watching my video. If you liked the video, press the like button, comment, share among your friends, and don't forget to subscribe the channel. Also, click the bell icon so that you get instant notification when the videos are uploaded. All the best, dear children, and hope you all do your exams very well. I'll be back with yet another revision video of Class 10 Physics and Chemistry.